It turned out to be a beautiful day for a train show. I'm here today at the Montgomery Fairgrounds near Dayton, Ohio, and there are two big buildings full of trains to explore. So I'm excited, and it's hot. It's November, but it's hot.
Well, I think it's official, and even though it's a 40-minute drive for me, the annual Dayton Train Show, presented by the NMRA, or National Model Railroad Association, is my favorite event of the year. I read where over 3,000 people attended last year's event, but I think this one may draw even more. If you're a seller, I've also heard that the charge to rent a table or two is actually pretty reasonable. And maybe that's why the prices and the seller's willingness to negotiate both seem to align so nicely. I didn't buy a single thing at the last two swap meets earlier this season. That changed today. I didn't spend a lot of money, but I came home with a lot of stuff. A few items that were still in their boxes and need no work whatsoever, but I also found a few future projects. One of the biggest reasons that I enjoyed this train show so much, in a word, DIECAST. This particular seller was liquidating a large collection in scales that work with Lionel trains, mostly 1/43rd scale, but also some 1/48th. Mixed in among the newer models were some classic brands as well. It's really unusual to find Matchbox and Corgis from the 1970s, but they were here, and most still had their original boxes. I need to stop for a moment and talk about two of my pet peeves. The first would be this kind of seller, who doesn't want anyone to touch their stuff. Most buyers ask first before picking anything up. I know I do, but these sellers remind me of the people who used to cover their sofas and chairs in clear plastic. Lighten up. And then there's the other extreme, the seller who just doesn't give a crap. My first reaction to this box of Lionel F3s was to be really sad. And then it just started to bug me. Yes, it's America, and it's your stuff, so do what you want. But if this is the amount of effort you put forth and then expect to be paid $400 for it, forget it. Plus, in most cases, none of us are really the final consumer for these trains. They'll find new homes after we're gone, so how about preserving these collectibles for future generations? Alright, back to positivity, because make no doubt, this show is awesome. If N-scale, or even Lionel trains are too small for you, how about these? Locomotives and cars big enough to carry full-sized people. There were a few on display in here, but just outside you could actually go for a ride. a big fan of the Back to the Future movies, and this DeLorean was also scaled to operate on these large gauge rails. In the second building, there are a few vendor tables, but the majority of space is filled with layouts of various scales. One of my favorites is this sprawling display presented by the Carillon Park Rail and Steam Society. I like it a lot. First, because it's all made from Lego, and secondly, because the trains and buildings are roughly O scale, which I also like a lot. There was a brief childhood period when I had a few trains in N scale, but when it comes to this hobby, Lionel was always my first love. But that doesn't mean that I can't appreciate other railroading formats, especially their landscaping. I don't want to sound too cheesy, but there is a nostalgic and somewhat romantic element shared by both railroads and ships, or a boat in this case. The detail in this little diorama is incredible, and I would love to incorporate a seaside village with a boat or two onto my layout. I'd also like to experiment with epoxy for a more realistic water effect, like you see here. So I think that might be on my list of projects for 2024.
It turned out to be a pretty good day for a train show.
If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until next time, this has been Bob's Workshop. Take care.